You should be hearing something, and I don't think you are, so I'm working on that. Welcome to the Broken Clock Theory. Oh, the music hasn't started yet. There's an epilepsy warning on this tune if I show it to you. It's from Cerebral Pisces. He said I could use his stuff. Pretty excited about that. How's that for effect? So last night, I started going through the gateway process document, which is huge and long and not a lot of fun. And section 14 reminded me of the Akashic Records quite a lot, probably because I've had a reading. And I decided I'm going to share that with everybody who listens to this, because why not? And we'll go over that section of the gateway process a little bit. And then if I can find it in the gateway process document, I'm going to show you the part that sounds to me like the corresponding part in my favorite reptilian conspiracy, the Lacerta Files. And probably read through a little bit of that as well. I'm going to get settled in. Please do the same and enjoy some of Cerebral Pisces Sacred Visions Meditations. And Bro did this auto putting an epilepsy warning on the front of it, so consider this me doing the same. I'm settled. Hope everybody else is settled. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to listen to it. I think I can. I think I can. Do it like this. That way. That's nice. Oh, well, that's not good, but we'll live. We'll live. This is a part of the Gateway Process document that reminded me most of the Akashic Record reading, or the Akashic Records in general. The universe is composed of interacting energy fields, some at rest and some in motion. It is, in and of itself, one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. And then it goes on to the important part. As energy passes through various aspects of the universal hologram and is perceived by the electrostatic fields which comprise the human mind, the holographic images being conveyed are projected upon those electrostatic fields of the mind and are perceived or understood to the extent that the electrostatic field is operating at a frequency and amplitude that can harmonize with and therefore read the energy carrier wave pattern passing through it. So, in terms of the Akashic Records, it would be like tuning your brain waves to a different mode of interpretation, a different wavelength, a different frequency, and then conveying it to people on the regular frequency. So given that the CIA document, which appears to indicate this is how the government thinks reality works, indicates there might be some validity to Akashic record readings, I'll tell you my personal experience with such and read you a little bit of it because I transcribed it afterward. I think it was about 2011 that I had my next wake-up call. Of course, 9/11 was, but I would say most people hit the snooze button. Like, everybody knew it was time to wake up, but we mainly went shopping, like George said. And it was an illusion that I believed that I didn't even know was part of my framework. And that is that the hidden notion that history is over. And I mean, it's illogical, but it's more a feeling than a notion. It's like history is what has happened, not something that is happening. I mean, nobody talks about our story, and I guess that's what that would be. So it was Occupy that hit me in the face as I started driving past people camping in protest on the way to work for the first time. And that makes it, I mean, I was a good liberal. I watched Jon Stewart and laughed. But seeing, it was like, it was the first time you realized that you weren't the only one who knew something was fishy. in the state of affairs. So that's when I started looking into this sort of thing and expanding my consciousness in all sorts of ways. And that was about the same time the sinking ship that is Google Plus opened up. And I got on there, I think, in the second wave of beta, which was relatively the appeal at the time was that you couldn't just follow people on Facebook back in the day. That's something it's a software platform. Anything you can do, they can either buy you or integrate themselves. But on Google Plus, you could follow random strangers, and but it was more like Facebook than Twitter. So it was like the corpus callosum between Facebook and Twitter in a way. And that's when I started running into crazy people like myself. And one of them was talking about his back problems and how Reiki had been the only thing that worked for him. And I looked into it, and there was a lady who did it in my area. So I went in for it. She may have installed demons there. I don't know. I heard bad things on the interwebs about Reiki afterward, but that was afterward. So what you gonna do? And so it came to pass that it was interesting to me because during the experience, you lay there and you shut your eyes, and she rings one of those glass bowls and puts her hands on you. And during the procedure, I heard what I thought were tribal drums, but according to her testimony, nothing she played resembled those sounds. So that was interesting. And the amount of feeling she could evoke in my body with keeping her hands so many inches away from it. It was interesting as well, which is probably why I paid for the Akashic record reading. So I go into her office the night of. I believe my memory says it was around 7, 8 in the evening after work. We sit and we talk like normal humans for a minute. I think I had some cucumber water. And then she sits cross-legged in a chair in front of me, says a prayer, and then comes the part where I got to ask her questions. Was this incarnation my choice? We can give you a very simple answer here. Yes. You understood that there were some extenuating circumstances, some difficulties that you would be entering into, and yet it was an important challenge for you to undertake. It was interesting for you, an interesting opportunity for you. So yes, this is a bit more information than you asked for, but did I come for a specific goal? If so, what was it? Yes, there's always intention. There is always goal setting for embodiment in human form. Yes, there is no need to enter into physical human form without some kind of intention, some kind of goal. This is a constant, a standard, if you will. So, to your intention, you have chosen for yourself this configuration. This is a solver, a problem solver. Truly, you are truly in a cycle currently of information gathering, and yet it's more than that. There is more than that for you within the entirety of your experience. Yes, you are in an intensive cycle of information gathering, and yet this is also part of your larger intention as a soul here in human form. So, you are not only this solver, problem solver, but you are also an information gatherer. It is bringing together of information, data, gathering it together, and yet it's not just that. You are absolutely interested in learning and experiencing a great deal. Of course, at this point you have to kind of say, duh, right? Who isn't? I'm looking through and trying to find something that's not obvious for everybody. Alright, here's a fun one. What are the causes of my struggles with meditation? Oh, it's back again. So I have to read about the construct she tried to put on me, which I always rejected as like, this is some witch trying to put this spell on me. Hold on. Okay, here we go. What do I believe that is not true? That you are limited. Yes, you could say this to virtually every human, and yet, for you, there is a very strong limitation around you. It's like a corset, very much like this kind of structure of corset around you, and so because of your focus on learning through experience, you are only allowing yourself to accept and believe that which you personally experience, and so, this is not a negative thing, or a non-supportive or bad thing, as you may categorize it. It's not like this at all. Instead, it's just a way of being for you at this time, that you have limitations, and that only what you personally experience is valid. This is a belief system of yours, and yes, you are being surrounded by this idea of a corset. Alright, and then, what are the causes of my struggles with meditation? It is again back to this construct around you. It is much like a corset and holds you very tight into this very specific boundary. Yes, like a fence or a moat. So the only things that are within very close proximity to you are deemed to be safe, or that are available to you energetically. Yes, so It is a very great challenge for you to be faced with this kind of structure around you. There must be a great deal of forcefulness with outside energies to make their way to you. This is many different kinds of energies, including this energy of love. It is difficult for you to truly grasp it, to truly receive it, accept it, because it must cross over this barrier. And so, this feeds directly into your challenge with meditation and this self-concept about being limited. So, there is truly, this is not just metaphor, this idea of a fence or a corset around you. It is an energetic structure, and it does not allow you to move beyond it very easily. This is a self-protective device that you have engaged around you. It is one that has as its core worry and fear and concern over receiving non-supportive energies, information, and so it is difficult for you to move beyond it, to step beyond it, and there is a pushing up against it when it comes to meditation and other kinds of practices that ask you to move away from yourself. But again, you have it as a very clear intention to do just that when you move into a more service-oriented kind of way of life. This next cycle that you have as an intention for yourself. So, you can take advantage of this current cycle of information gathering to dabble with this idea, trying on this idea of this barrier, going to the very edge of it, find the edge of it, and then see if you can challenge yourself to move beyond it, to step beyond it, to create in it, to create holes in it, so that you can see out and others can see in. Yes, you do wish this for yourself, very much so. And you can do this for yourself. It is a matter of you being very clear in your intention. And the clarity of your intention is vital for you. I am feeling slightly self-indulgent, but it's fun to read it. I'm finding the next good part in it that doesn't tell you too much about things you're not supposed to know yet. Basically, every other question I asked, she blamed on the corset she was trying to put around me. Oh, here's one you guys might like. Is this my first incarnation as a human? No. And yet it has been a while for this concept of linear time. It has been a while for you, and you have not been human very many times. So this is another reason why it is a challenge for you to be here in this form, to be the information gatherer. This is another motivation, an impetus for you to be an information gatherer, this unfamiliarity, not novelty, because there is a deep respect here, and yet it's still different. Alright, so the boundary thing, but here it is. What have I not forgiven myself for doing? For creating this boundary? This is the final step of forgiveness for yourself, to know that you created this out of protection, love, compassion for yourself. Something that you knew or understood to be true in the moment, that it would be something that would serve you. This was the perspective, the argument, and yet it also makes your job a great deal more difficult. To be human, to be healthy, to be happy, to be able to receive love, to be able to give love. Yes. Here's a relevant one. Question 22. Does my drug use help me overcome the corset? It is a bouncing for you. It is much like echoes that reverberate, bouncing against the structure, and it makes more noise for you. It's the idea of moving beyond it. It's the attempt to move beyond it, and yet it's not. It creates a cacophony for you inside, so that it's easy to be distracted by all those sounds and what's being perceived and what is not based in truth. Yes, there are openings that are created in the structure. That's the result of blasting through, but in the great blasting through, it is actually counterproductive for you, because it creates a great opening, but you are not able to discern. You are not able to listen to your inner radar about whether something is supportive to you or not. So through this hole that's been created, you can and do periodically receive energies that are non-supportive to you. It's most certainly something to consider for yourself on a long term, if it's something that's truly assisting you or keeping you inside, because of course you can extrapolate outward and go further down and say, okay, if there's a hole that's blasted in, then something negative comes in, then that hole was closed and the energy stays within, and I feel unsafe, and it convince me that the structure is the only way to go. It needs to be even bigger, stronger, larger. So if a snake gets in my garden, the defenses will get higher. But that's my interjection. Back to the reading. So it's a big challenge for you, this idea of drugs, as you call them. They are a false shroud, ultimately problematic for you. However, you may choose as you wish. You may choose if you wish. There's no judgment for you. Of course not. You choose as you wish for yourself. Thanks for being here, everybody. I hope it's fun, enjoyable, relaxing. Whatever you get out of being with me, I hope you're getting it out of being with me tonight. I'm gonna go get some more coffee. water like a good boy would do. I want to go into the Lacerta Files next. There's some more on the AR reading, but I kind of like the way that cuts out right there. Let's take a second to say thank you to Cerebral Pisces for letting me use this. And wow, dude. And before I can go on any further, I have a special message from the Secret Order of Foolish Transparency to the Paladins. In a dream I had once, a lot of people saw this meme that says, "These kids think they're getting candy this year, but really, I'm handing out a terabyte of government conspiracy videos." Except, see, in the dream I had, what they did was just one video, and they took them to all the Pokemon gyms on the, Ingress's bastard child on the 1st of November. You don't give it to kids from your house, because then, where'd you get this? That bastard up the... Anyway, so in the dream I had once, they used their Pokemon Go things early in the morning, and they put those right there at the gyms and just left them there for the right person. Let serendipity find the right person find it, kind of thing, I guess. But that was just a dream I had once, and that concludes the message from the Secret Order of Foolish Transparency. While we're on about the holograms, it was one of my personal heroes' birthday 2 days ago, and I didn't say anything. But I'm gonna do it now. I'm often late to the party. If I even get invited. Gosh, guys. Look at that. This guy. He's talking about fractals at this point.
Simple idea that there is this idea of mathematical existence, but the idea that basically there's a close relationship between the universe and mathematics. A very ancient idea. Pythagoras, the ancient mystical sage, said that universe is a number. Galileo, the book of nature, is written in the language of mathematics. Isaac Newton, God is a mathematician. This recurring idea that somehow there's a close relationship between mathematics and the physical universe. Eugene Wigner, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist, the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics in describing the physical world. Now, the proposition is that the nature of physical existence is mathematical. The reason why there's such a close relationship between mathematics and the physical universe, and also between kind of science and mathematics in the universe, is because the nature of physical existence and also is also the same as the nature of mathematical existence. And that's a very ancient idea, because it's the idea that the entire physical universe and all physical universes are contained in this equation of all existence, of all possible universes. And it's a very ancient idea. Now, some physicists even speculate that this equation exists. Paul Davies, in The Mind of God, talks about an equation that contains not just all the different differential equations of laws of motion, etc., but also contains all the initial conditions from which you can calculate the universe from beginning to end. But also Pythagoras, we talked about earlier, who brought the mysteries from Egypt to Greece. The universe is a number. Now, Plato.
That's a fascinating guy, and it was his birthday a couple days ago. And I love all his work. He never cut it down into attention span digestible. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Ideas, Pythagoras, Plato, Neoplatonists, and Neoplatonist ideas.
Never cut it down into sizable chunks for me, you know. There's that back. Thank you again, Cerebral Pisces. This is beautiful. Virgos unite, Pisces unite too. Star sign alliance, everybody. End racism. It was when you were born that matters, not the body you're in, what color skin it is, when you were born. But we love everybody. Oh, that's what. I don't know that I'll find the part of the gateway process document that reminds me of the Lacerta Files, but I'll just go over the files themselves, and since you've been following me so closely on the gateway process document, you'll be reminded yourself, yes? I gotta do this right. Ooh. Alright, I'll start reading now. Alright, I'll almost start reading. There we go. I certify that the following text is the absolute truth and no work of fiction. These are parts of a transcript of an interview I've made with a non-human and reptilian being in December of 1999. This female being was already in contact with a friend of mine, whose name is given only as EF in the text, since some months. Let me declare that I was all my life a skeptic about, this was translated clearly, that I was all my life a skeptic about UFOs, aliens, and other weird things, and I thought EF was just telling me dreams or stories when he talked with me about his first contacts with Lacerta. I was still a skeptic when I met her on December 16, 1999, in that small warm room in the remote house of my friend near a town in the south of Sweden, despite the fact that I saw now with my own eyes that she was not human. She has told me and shown me so many unbelievable things during the meeting that I can't deny the reality and the truth of her words any longer. This is not another of that wrong UFO papers which claim to tell the truth but in fact just fiction. I'm convinced that this transcript contains the only truth, and therefore you should read it. And I've done really well about putting links to all the good stuff in the description if you want to look up on stuff I skip. relatively good. First of all, you deal with a very large time scale. You claim your ancestors lived together with dinosaurs, survived, as you call it, artificial cataclysm, and then evolved over 40 million years, and that your evolution was complete 10 million years ago. That sounds unbelievable to me. Can you say something about it? I understand that this must sound absolutely unbelievable to you, because you are a young and genetically engineered species. Your historical horizon ends at the scale of just some thousands of years, and you think this is right. But it isn't. This is impossible. Your programmed mind is obviously not able to handle with such large timescales. Our evolution time may seem incredibly long to you, but the fact is, this was the original way of nature. Remember, your early mammal ancestors developed with dinosaurs, and they survived the bomb like us. They evolved slowly over the next millions of years, and they divided into various species and shapes, some of them larger, some smaller. This is evolution of the body, but what about their mind and intelligence? They were simple animals. The mammals evolved 150 million years ago, but only in the last 2-3 million years were they able to become intelligent. And in this small period, beings like you were created. From nature, 148 million years of evolution from animal-like mammals, 2 million years for intelligence. Ask yourself, do you really think this acceleration is natural? Then, your species is more ignorant than I thought. We've not evolved wrong, but you have. So clearly I'm taking some artistic leeway with how I'm reading the translation. But here's another good bit. Oh, I'll take it back to the front. Back to our history. You mentioned the race Elohim, who created our race. From where did they come, and what did they look like? And what happened exactly after they arrived? Are they our God? The Elohim came from this universe, from the solar system you call Aldebaran in your maps. They were a very tall humanoid species with usually blonde hair and very white skin. They avoided the sunlight because it hurt their skin and their eyes. This was absolutely unbelievable for a sun-loving species like we. They seemed to be intelligent and peaceful at the beginning, and we started a more or less friendly communication with them. But later they showed their true intentions and plans. They wanted to evolve the apes to breed it to a new breed, and were a disturbing factor for them on their new zoo planet. And we were a disturbing factor for them on their new zoo planet. At first they caught around 10,000 or maybe 20,000 of your monkey ancestors, and then they left the planet. When they returned, they brought you, your more human-looking ancestors back. Then they left again for some thousands of years, and the primitive little pre-humans lived together with us without major problems. They were just afraid of our aircraft and technology. The Elohim had taught their mind and advanced their brain and their body structure, and they were now able to use tools and fire. The Elohim returned within 23,000 years 7 times and accelerated the evolution of certain of your kind. You must understand that you are not the first human civilization on the planet. The first advanced humans who lived the same time with less developed pre-humans, because of the Elohim, had experimented with different speeds and stages of evolution. The first advanced humans with technology and speech existed around 700,000 years ago on this planet. This genetically advanced human breed lived together with us, but they avoided contact with my kind because the Elohim teachers had warned them with misleading purpose that we are evil beings and that we lie to them. After some centuries, the aliens decided to exterminate their first creation, and they accelerated the evolution of a second and better series, and so on, and so on. The truth is that your modern human civilization is not the first on this planet Earth, but the 7th. The buildings of the first breeds are lost, but the 5th civilization was the one which built the large triangular constructions you call Egyptian pyramids today, around 75,000 years ago. And the 6th civilization was the one which built the cities which ruins you can find today beneath the sea in the so-called Bimini area, around 16,000 years ago. The last creation of the 7th breed of your series was done just 8,500 years ago, and this is the only creation you can remember, and to which your religious writings refer. You rely on archaeological and those kind of artifacts which show you a short past. But how should you know anything about the 6 civilizations before? And if you find evidence for their existence, you deny and misinterpret the facts. This is partly a programming of your mind and partly pure ignorance. I will only tell you the following about your creations, because the 6 previous mankinds are lost, and therefore should not concern you. And that there is why I love the Lacerta Files. But there's this part she talks in there about physics, because, they're supposed to be advanced in that way. And she talks about the foam. And there's something resonant in the gateway process where they talk about different size of magnetic fields that kind of just syncs with what she's saying there. But I don't know. What do you think? And did you like hearing this stuff? Was it good? I think we'll call it a night, kill it and clip it there. Thank you for your attention. It's worth more than you know.